everyone, welcome to this edition of the podcast. We have someone special from Nepal. I'm from नेपालबाट एकजना हुनुहुन्छ शिवाङ्गी बन्सल उहाँको चाहिँ डाफे आर्ट्स भन्ने टुरिङ ग्यालेरी छ र उहाँको नि एउटा इमर्जिङ स्टार्टअप हो र आर्ट सेक्टरको स्टार्टअपहरू हामीले अहिलेसम्म त्यसरी आर्ट स्पेसिफिकै भएर गरेको थियौँ सो दिस इज भेरी न्यू फर अस सो क्यान यु टेल अस अ लिटल बिट अबाउट योर स्टार्टअप
Thank you for the introduction. So Danfe Arts is a touring art gallery, as you said, and I started it with a vision to change the art dynamics of Nepal a little bit. And I also felt that I've seen so many museums and galleries here and there, and I just felt like Nepal is not well represented. So with that vision, I wanted to take Nepali art all around, and I started a touring art gallery. So yes.
So, what's your background, especially in the arts? How are you like the person to be qualified enough to start this venture? I usually ask this to everyone because when we approach like some electric bike manufacturer, they're usually engineers. When
Yeah.
we approach like a medicinal person in the new biotech startup, they're usually studying biotech. Like for example, we did one with Shubham Biotech. तपाईँको background चाहिँ के चाहिँ थियो?
So in terms of my education, um, I've always had a very, very great passion to learn about different cultures and art and everything. And I did my undergrad in information systems, and during that time, I did a lot of internships and volunteering here and there. And what I realized, and most of my internships and volunteering was in the creative sector. Like it wasn't in the computer sector at all, whereas I was doing my undergrad in that.
Mhm,
And I realized that I don't like just sitting behind a desk and working. And I like meeting people and learning about new things. So then I decided to do my master's in culture and creative industries.
mhm.
Luckily,
Oh, by the way, where did you do this master's?
I did it at University of Sussex
Mhm,
in Brighton,
mhm,
and like I just applied last minute. I didn't even think I'll get it, so I got it, and it was a great experience. And from that time, I worked with a gallery in Brighton. I did an internship there. I, and then I realized that I need to do something for Nepali art, and yeah, so that's my background.
uh-huh. So that's very interesting because like you came back, you had this opportunity to go to the United Kingdom, right? And then तपाईँ फर्केर आउनुभयो अब देश बनाउन भन्दाखेरि you came back because you are passionate about some idea, right? So
Yeah.
how do you look at it from that perspective? Is it more like okay, I want to create jobs here, or I want to make some sort of an impact, or it's more driven like okay, this is my passion, and if I did it in UK, I would be someone just doing it in the UK scene, versus if I did it from my own culture, it would help me inspire more people. Which one was it, or was it a mix of both?
I mean, definitely, like when I started seeing when I saw different type of art there, of course I learned a lot, but then I just felt like more than it being my duty or whatever, I just felt like I have to do something for Nepali art. Like it's so good. It has a character of its own. It's
Mhm,
very raw,
mhm,
and it doesn't get the platform it needs.
mhm,
And I just think that we need people who can help the. I mean, I just thought this is what I have to do. I mean, I can't. Of course, working in the UK for a bit would have increased my perspective, like made my perspective better. But then I just decided to come back. But I have planned a show in the UK because I got a lot of connections there now. So I did plan a show of Nepali art in the UK galleries, which was scheduled for July actually, this July. But then last minute, because of like my visa issues, it's postponed to next year now.
mhm, mhm.
So like I still want to. I'm still going to be going around with, but I want to do it with Nepali art.
Oh, cool.
That's
So,
the plan.
like, if somewhere someone was to buy some sort of art, कसैलाई केही किन्नु थियो भने अब नेपालमा त अब ई सेवा अथवा खल्तीबाट पनि अनलाइन किन्न मिल्यो अनि तपाईँले लजिस्टिक्स पार्टनरबाट डेलिभर गर्न मिल्यो सो इफ मेरो साथीहरू अथवा जो यो पोडकास्ट हेर्दा चाहिँ विदेशमा भएको मान्छेले हाउ आर दे गोइङ टु लाइक हाउ आर दे एबल टु बाई दि आर्ट that you have on your touring gallery? Like, is there a way? I'm asking this because this is a problem that not only you but a lot of other people face, because like you can't incorporate international currency unless you have a debit card or a credit
Yes.
card, or you do it through your friends, your cousin or family. So how are you going to like manage that on a longer term? Have you thought about strategies like that?
Yes, yes, I have. So for now, I haven't put the PayPal option on my website, but that's coming soon. But yes, I do have. I can do bank transfers,
Mm,
and I do have a lot of friends in the UK. So, and for now, I do have a UK bank account as well.
mm.
So I can. I can easily accept international
Payment.
payments.
Mhm,
But yes, I need to make it more efficient with like a proper gateway.
mhm.
So that's still coming up. It's very new. Everything, the website just launched last week. So yeah, we will get to that as well.
Now, why
But
I asked this question was because it's not only you that are who's facing this problem. There's
yes,
bunch of Nepali entrepreneurs that are facing this problem because the Nepal Rashtra Bank has not allowed everyone to open their account and take money from here and spend it over there, and take the money from there, spend it over here. There's a lot of hassles going on. And since you say like you want to do this touring gallery in UK as well, how hard is it? Because like you said about the visa issue at first,
yes,
that's a
it's
big
very
issue, and
hard. Yes,
then getting money outside of the country because you're only allowed to take a certain amount of cash with you, and then when you're trying to organize all these things, like what would you want from the government or the people in general to raise awareness so that our startups and entrepreneurs like you have a better chance of succeeding from Nepal and going outside?
going outside. Yes. For starters, I would definitely want some sort of because like Nepali art, just art in general. Actually, Nepal doesn't have that backing. There's no funding. There is no foundations you can look up to or nothing. And everywhere around the world, there's a lot of it.
Mhm,
And I feel Nepal needs it more urgently than any other place because of the amazing, extraordinary talent that we have.
mhm,
And the artists just get stuck, and they use other options for their jobs and all because they just don't get the money. But
mhm.
yes, to answer your question, um I would say that sorry, your question was that how would I.
Yeah, how would you raise awareness? Like, what are the issues you want to be addressed? Because okay, Nepal visit Nepal 2020 पनि आउँदैछ. Visit
Yes,
Nepal 2020 is a big thing, and they're promoting this. And even as we speak in this podcast, there's going to be like this logo of Visit Nepal coming in. So plug in Visit Nepal 2020. And that's good. That should be in a way to help you guys, art sector people. Like for example, we've had Docha. You know about Docha, right? Docha
yes,
shoes,
yes,
or like even Hati Hati. All these products, and they represent Nepal. And the thing about it is, I'll tell you one thing. Whenever I meet people who who've gone to New Orleans, I used to live in New Orleans. They only remember New Orleans because of the souvenirs they carry back. Like if I came to Nepal and then I get this souvenir of a Docha shoe or a Hati Hati product or your product or like an art product from Nepal, they can always reminisce and say whenever that's in the living room, they can say, "Oh, that is something I got from Nepal when I visited Nepal
yeah,
in
yeah,
2020." And think about all. Do you remember all the little coins? It had Bizil Nepal from like 20 years ago or something like that. The small coins
yeah.
we
I
used to
think there's
get.
yeah.
1998, was it 1998? Like the special edition they made.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I gave one of those coins to some of my friends, like family. Like they came over to Nepal. They were from like Sri Lanka, and I gave those. And then when I met them like a couple of years later, they still had that in their wallet. So that's like physical
yeah,
products are what remind you of the
yeah,
memories you had.
yeah.
Now, given that given that situation, how do you want Nepal Tourism Board? How do you want to have the like foreign diplomacy department, how should they react, and how what are the pathways they should open for you guys to succeed? That was my question.
Okay, I'm just gonna like I can't. I don't have a. Of course, there's lots of things we need, but it all has to align with the legal aspects and everything as well. But one thing that would be really, really helpful is easy immigration.
Hmm.
In terms of easy immigration and backing from Nepali government for that. Because for stuff like this, of course, I wasn't doing it on a very large scale, and if I did it on a large scale, perhaps I would get it. But I didn't. And just so that maybe the ambassadors can talk. If there's exclusively Nepali event happening in another country, then I really think the government should back that project
Hmm.
in some way. You
Hmm.
know, and yes, of course, financially, of course, a little bit financially because there's so much logistics that goes. Um, and what else? And also open maybe some training programs for like more exchanges, more inclusive exchanges.
Hmm.
I'd say for artists, for curators, for art dealers, because right now it's just in Nepal you don't need a degree to become an artist.
Hmm.
Everyone is an artist here. Everyone, and which is some are good, some are okay. I wouldn't, and like I wouldn't say okay, all art is good, but because it's a very subjective thing.
Hmm.
But I just feel that that's they need to be able to see different sorts of art from the West as well, so that they could incorporate something or learn something from that and put it in their work. Because not everyone can travel around and see different what's happening around the world, especially contemporary art. And it's hard to sustain only with the traditional work now.
Hmm.
And that traditional work is also uh, slowly getting erased.
Recognition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
I also want to ask something in line to this. You said something about doing events internationally. Something that strikes my mind is how like different ambassadors in Nepal that come from a different country. Like the U.S. ambassador has this U.S. Youth Council going on, and they put a lot of effort and a lot of money into putting cultural immersion from Nepal side and like the American side. The Russian Culture Center in itself is has been a vital part in doing shows and art
yes,
shows,
even the
different
French.
programs. Yeah, they've been
Mhm.
they've been on the forefront of all these events, and these ambassadors they go and they show their faces and they're always talking, not only on the political side but on the cultural paradigm itself. Did any of the ambassadors from Nepal or do on their own did they initiate some sort of a program when you were in London or when you were in UK? Did they do some sort of a program like this instead of just doing a Dasai night and TR night? I know every ambassador does that. Did they
Yeah.
do special events like these when you were in UK?
Nothing that I know of, but I do know that the ambassador is connected with a lot of art people
Hmm.
around. So, but like in my 1 year, I did not hear of anything. So maybe they have some plans for the Visit Nepal 2020 campaign and something to do with that. Uh, like I don't want to be too pessimistic
Harsh.
about this, but it's picking up. It's slow,
Mhm.
but it needs to be. It needs more a stronger push, I'd say. You know.
What I also want to ask in that like same shift is, I spent 5 years in like the US, and then not one time did I get like this email blast about this event going on from like the government side. Like
Mm.
90% of all events that I know personally that happens in foreign lands is because of the initiative of the people themselves,
Yeah.
never the government. And this is my personal opinion as well. Half these people are elected or appointed because of the political power, and none of these people have any sort of any knowledge of doing these things. And I really think at this point we should reevaluate how we elect these people, and we should really evaluate how we should be pursuing these efforts instead of just talking about making the country better with infrastructures, because your PR is always brought out by the ambassadors outside of the country. And I also want to point out, you said something like 5 minutes ago about you not scaling this business huge enough. That's why people aren't coming to you. But then I disagree at the same time. Small businesses run this country. And just because a business is about $1 million or XO amount of money doesn't mean they have priority over a small other
Mhm.
business, because
Correct. Yeah.
people tend to go to all businesses equally. The dollar spent on your art gallery would be the same dollar spent on some big shot hotel here, because
Yeah.
it will add to the economy itself. That's why I do disagree with that statement where it says if you have a small business, the government should not look out for you. Only if you're big, that's when they promote to you. Because small businesses are the lifeblood, and it sounds a little bit preachy when they say like in our slogan, and they do these events. भीरगुडी मण्डपमा घरेलुको घरेलु सामग्रीको प्रदर्शन मात्र गरेर भएन, त्यो कुरालाई त रियल लाइफमा पनि राख्नु पर्यो. um I want to ask you on a different note, because अब अन्टरप्रेन्योरसिपमै जाउँ. तपाईँले चाहिँ आर्टिस्टहरू चाहिँ कसरी चाहिँ तपाईँ स्काउट गर्नुहुन्छ तपाईँको टुरिङ ग्यालिङमा राख्न? हाउ डु यु गेट दिज आर्टिस्ट टु लाइक कम अन यर प्लेटफर्म एन्ड सेयर देयर आर्ट? बिकज it's a very art,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a very intellectual property. It goes into that paradigm. How do you manage that?
Um, so what like initially my for my first show I did it through suppose I knew one of the artists, and from him I found out a few more, and then I knew one some a curator here. Basically Nepal is very small. It's very easy to get connected with people. And luckily artists here, because of the lack of recognition and respect that they get, they don't have that sort of entitlement, and they don't have that sort of air, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because in the West, it's very hard to contact an artist. Like I've contacted at least five, six of them, and I've got a reply from say just one, and that too was very vague,
Mhm,
you know. And so then I tell them about what I want to do. This is my plan, and if they like it, they're on board. If they're not, then I look for someone else. But this time I'm using another approach actually. I'm going to universities, or the three art universities.
mhm,
So I want to take some artists from there.
mhm,
So let's see, my next show is in November, and it's going to be a fresh graduate show of all three universities.
mhm,
So let's see.
mhm.
This time I'm doing this.
Okay, so I want to ask you another question. If you were to, let's say, um, sell a painting or a piece of art, like a scroll maybe, or like maybe you'd want to venture out into Thanka. I don't know, depending on the artist, I guess
Yeah,
you have these segments, right?
yeah.
So how does like the division of like the payment goes? Like, what's the percentage? What's the commission structure like? You don't have to go to the detail, but can you like give us like a little take into how like the commission structure goes, and how the selling process goes, and how the verification of these paintings go?
All
Because
right.
that's a very new issue to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically, uh, like lots of artists, I'll just tell you a little bit about what artist is and what a curator. I mean, you know what an artist is, of course. But lots of artists don't have the time to promote their work because they're so into the process. They just, some artists can. Some artists get the galleries on their own. Some artists get those exhibitions, but most artists can't. That especially university students who are actually amazing, and that's where curators come in. And curators are basically like, I'm not going to say that I'm still learning, so I don't think I should just call myself a curator just yet. But what I'm supposed to do is actually, um, mm, you know, like just what a director does in a film
Mm-hmm.
is what a curator does for an exhibition.
Hmm.
I have the storyline, and based on my storyline, I pick my artist and the artwork.
Hmm.
And then, of course, for all the logistics and for all the work we've put in, there's a certain commission that is either we take a commission from, say, every artwork sold, or there is, or we take it from the exhibition ticket sales, or like there needs to be some revenue stream for us to keep going with the next one as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the most common approach is that you take a commission from the artist artworks. But of course, we price it accordingly.
Hmm.
Some artists don't even know the value of their work, and yeah,
So
that's how
that's
it
very
is.
interesting because like it goes similarly in the innovation sector as well. Most of the times it's like the business people and the managers managing the innovations and the inventions created by scientists and engineers. Now, I want to ask you on a different note. Uh, would you be open to going into different countries other than like in the West? Like, for example, would you be open to going into Japan, or would you be going into Australia? And how does this process usually work? For example, somebody approaches you, and then you make those visa arrangements, and then you just take all of all your paintings safely, and then you go up, set up over there, and do a show. Is that how it goes, or can you just walk me through how that each step goes on, like how you go from like contacting and then finally organizing this whole event?
Yeah, so like right now, it's very small. It's a very small scale thing. So of course, there are people not approaching me. I have to approach them.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, we sometimes, when I suppose I know someone from this one place, I contact the gallery owner, and if the gallery really really likes the idea, they decide to even fund it.
Hmm.
But sometimes when they don't, then I have to look for other ways of getting the show funded. And yes, and then I could just take the artworks, and what I have planned, what I generally do is, I mean, I have, like, my initial plan with the UK show was to just take the prints with me, just take like without the artworks being framed, because taking framed artworks is very hard because of the sizes, and like that's a whole different issue to deal with. So we just roll it, and then there we get it framed, and then we put it up. All the merchandise can go from here or from there. I mean, it's the same thing that would do here, that
Hmm.
you do there. The only thing is to get all that, get all that planned there beforehand, and that takes a very long time. That takes a very long time. So yeah, but it's not too hard. Like some places, it's very very. If you get a show in one of the museums or galleries, for say in San Francisco in the Asian Art Museum, if I get that, that's like nothing like it. But it's not that easy, of course. So right now I'm looking at small galleries first,
Hmm.
and let's see how it goes.
Um, I might suggest New Orleans too.
Yeah,
They have a vibrant culture over there, and I don't know anyone who's an artist, like an artist who does painting and all of that per se. But I do know some musicians over there. Maybe like we can connect and like
yeah,
synergize over there. I
yeah,
do know they have this really nice like museums over there. Even University of New Orleans, where I went to, they always they had this gallery and this show going on in their fine arts college, and that was always inspiring thing. Like anytime you are in the engineering school, and let me tell you, if you spend too much time in that building and you go start going crazy, all you have to do is get out and then just walk around to that building and then just explore. Your mind will be fresh, and
yeah.
that's what I wanted to get at. Like whenever customers approach you, what is the difference between like Westerner customers or like art enthusiasts versus art enthusiasts in Nepal? What sort of a product are they looking for? What sort of products are they willing to buy? Is there a trend, or is there something that you can advise like any sort of an artist who would be watching this podcast to like say take advantage of or leverage that sort of an art?
So I'd say, like, in Nepal, the art purchasing culture is very, very low.
Hmm.
Like, I'm talking about the local Nepalis.
Hmm.
It's very hard. Like, people don't believe in buying art, and even if they do, like, they just don't see the value in it.
Hmm.
And I it's not their I wouldn't completely blame them, because also, um, I think Nepal is like a walking museum.
Hmm.
Everywhere around, you're seeing art, like from in the architecture, in the dresses the people, the women wear, and like everything has that artistic touch to it. So I feel like we've lost that reverence that we should have towards it, because of which, uh, there's not that culture of buying art. They just feel, why do we need it? We already have so much around. I mean, that's what I think. But the expat community here, of course, they really, they respect it more, they appreciate it more. Um, and I'd say every person has a different thing they're looking for with art. Like, I'm not going to be able to say which to the artist that what you should put in that can leverage your um artwork or whatever. But um, just to be true to yourself, I think, which what you want to put, um, because something I don't like, the other person will like it. That's the thing about art. Like, there are times that I don't like their artwork, but I just see the work that's been put into it, the thought that's been put into it, the story that goes behind it, and I'm just like, okay, this is a good piece of art. So I think an artwork is only complete after, it's never complete, but it's after the viewer's perspective. So
Hmm.
before that is just like, what the artist has put, like. So I wouldn't be able to say what the artist should put in their work. Yeah.
Yeah, and this gets me to a question. So we hear about this artist like selling millions and millions dollars worth of one single piece of art, and sometimes this is just like this one line of blue, and then that line of blue is so like it's just and people are going crazy over it. How does like the pricing of an art go? Because like when I look at some pieces of art out there, like I think that's really inspiring, and the price of those things is really like, oh, like it's really priced really low, and I'm willing to buy it. And then there are some piece of art that sounds like the modern day memes. It looks like somebody cotton paste like some newspaper clipping, and then I can go like I can do that if I just design this silhouette and then I just paint it over it. So how does
Yeah.
pricing go? This is a very interesting question, and I think all the viewers who are not in the art world would love to hear an answer on this, because the pricing thing is something that like baffles me. I've had like talks with everyone while drinking tea, coffee. How does art get priced? Can you talk a little bit about that?
um so yes, of course, as I said before, that there's lots of art pieces even I don't understand at all. But when it comes to marking the artwork, I'd say, like, there are different factors, like, you look at the suppose, for instance, if the artist is very famous,
Mm-hmm.
really, like that brand, that's there in every sector. So whatever he or she makes, it it is going to be priced high,
Mm-hmm.
marked high, depending on the value they've had before.
Mm-hmm.
And if and there's this very, very for the artists and the curators, art collectors are very important.
Mm-hmm.
And art collectors are a whole different group, and it's a big group, not so much in Nepal, but I mean, but all over the world, like everywhere it's there. So these art collectors, if they have a painting of one artist, they do want to collect all their works. So that's one thing that goes in, why when they decide to buy just one blue line or whatever, because they want to finish their collection or something. And in fact, some artists just paint for the art collector. you know it's some dynamics are also like that. But of course, like, with all the different revolutions we've had of art, from impressionism to now pop art, modern art, all that, that story that goes behind is what like attracts people to buy, even if it's just the most minimal thing you'll see. The story, the sometimes even the medium, like generally, people from the non-art world don't look at the medium of the work. So the medium is like the different types of medium. It can be acrylic, oil, pen and ink, or say nail on like nail and black thread, or like there can be lots of different things. So we may not know as a like sometimes even that can differ the pricing, but
Mhm.
it's a very subjective thing. Again, it's very very subjective. Like you can't if I can't if an artist values his artwork as something, I cannot negotiate to value it less,
Mhm.
perhaps more but not less.
Okay, cool.
Like that's my what do you say, rule I've made for myself for sure.
So this points me to another question. Now, whenever we hear about like paintings and art being stolen or some sort of like a high price going on, like how do you steal an art and then put it in your house and then expect like how do you leverage a stolen art and then sell it in the black market? I know you did extensive study over there on the art itself. Now, if I were to like I'm not gonna say I am ever going to steal a painting. I steal a painting, right? Where am I going to keep that painting? Like am I going to sell it to someone and they're gonna put it in their like Caribbean island and then just that stays there and they show it to their friends over wine? Is that how it goes? Or like how, how do you even hide in a piece of art and then say like 20 years later say, oh yeah, I own this now? Like how does that go?
I mean, people smuggle art, of course.
Mhm.
There's a lot of debate going around that, and hiding. I don't know exactly how people hide art or this thing, but I do know that if they hide a good piece of art, and they can resell it for a very high value if
Mhm.
they know the right people.
Mhm.
So perhaps that's why they have that person who they can sell it to. That's why they just take it from illegal means.
Mhm.
But that's a whole different debate altogether. Like fake art, original art, and all that is just. I'm still doing my research on it, and in Nepal, I'd say there's a lot of art being replicated, a lot. But that again comes with the right training, the right guidance, the right platforms,
Ethics.
ethics, exposure. So yeah, that's something which it's hard to control for sure.
Mhm. Now, it might seem like I'm the most ignorant person and asking you all these questions. It's because like I don't understand. When you don't understand things, you tend to
Give
ask
me a
all these
second.
ignorant questions. I hope uh, I
Yeah.
did not like insult you with this and insult your intelligence with that. It's just because I'm like interested in this. Art field, and I want to move on to another question. when
Right.
uh, when artists tend to do all these drawings, they spend a lot of time and effort, and it's not about the materials itself, like the canvas and the colors cost really low, but the amount of effort and the amount of years they put into it is the valuation of their like hard work. Like नेपालीमा तपस्या नै भन्छ, आर्ट गर्नु भनेको तपस्या नै हो.
Yeah.
What like how has it ever occurred to you or in any situation where you go and meet like a certain customer and then they are haggling over some piece of art, they think it's like overpriced or something, and like the artist feels the other way? How would one like interact in that situation? How do I as a customer go into like this kind of artwork form and like not insult the artist by just like being ourselves, because we don't understand, normal people don't have that
No.
patience to go through all of that.
The thing is, you can't haggle in an art gallery for sure. Like that's the price. It's the price. In fact, if you want, you can give more for it if you love it a lot. But you cannot definitely haggle. Like that's again, it comes under ethics.
Mhm.
But of course, like if I'm giving commission work, for instance, commission work is if someone wants a specific size, specific way of their work, and I have an artist who makes it for them. That's like commission work.
mm,
So in that case, the client can, give me their budget, or tell me that, all right, maybe this is a little too much or something. But once the art has been created and the artist has put their price, you can't haggle with that.
mhm,
But in Nepal, that still happens. Lots of the artists have told me about the experiences. I haven't faced it yet because I've had only one show. But but again, the artists don't believe in themselves that much. They just want to just make their one sale and feel good about it. So they just reduce the price and then they give it. Um, but it's not a very common thing. I mean, in fact, I would, yeah, you shouldn't do it. You
mhm.
shouldn't handle with art for sure.
Okay. I understand. Now, the another question that I would like to ask is, how do you how do you get into this? Like, if you're really a budding artist, let's say if you're an engineer and you really find this flair of an art, like, where do you start from? Like, are there certain YouTube tutorials, or there are certain books you should read, or there are certain artists you should follow? Can you give certain recommendations for any budding artists out there?
As an artist, of course, you go to art school, learn a little bit if you don't know anything at all.
Hmm.
So yeah, you join an art school or get an art teacher or something.
Hmm.
And then, of course, it's a plus if you know about the art history a little bit.
Hmm.
So you could read books, and yeah, and but if you want to get into the art, like the business side of it, then of course you can still read, and it's the same way what you do with other things.
Or
But to
other
learn art is
publications?
not easy.
Hmm.
Like I've really thought about trying my hand at art as well, but I just don't have the patience. You need a lot of patience for it. You need that sort of determination, patience, and yeah, you want to, like, you can't give up. Like in the middle, you're like, okay, I'm tired or whatever, but I mean, you need to have that self motivation to keep going with your artwork.
Like, just like how musicians always tell us, like, they're always practicing and they're always reading up on music theory, and that's what's the basics of doing music. Similar with art. Now, who are your favorite artists from history, or uh, from like museums you've seen? Like, I really like Pablo Picasso's art a little bit. I got to see a little bit of what his drawings are, what his pieces are, when I got to go to all these museums in the US, but you don't get to experience that over here. And I didn't get to see much of it because it's spread out all over the world. Um, who are your favorite artists from like the times before? I know Salvador Dali is really influential for most people because of his
Yeah,
melting clocks and
surrealism. Yeah, yeah. No, so for me, like in Nepal, my favorite artist is Angshering Sherpa, all-time favorite. Angshering Sherpa, he learned from his father, who was a very famous Thanka artist, and he does traditional art as well. But then he knows how to get rid of um, have a contemporary touch to it as well. His works are absolutely amazing. Like it's very fine. It's very it has a message. Like that's the sort of art that I would want to have in my house. But of course I can't afford it. Um, but
I
like
understand that.
yeah, no, his works are amazing. Like I've I've not seen a better artist in Nepal yet
Mhm.
in that genre, you know. But okay, in from the West, I really like Monet's work, Claude Monet, like his style.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's about. And otherwise, I mean, everyone's. What else? I wouldn't say I have a favorite artist from the West actually. Yeah.
Okay, so is Claude Monet the guy with like the screaming like that portrait where there's like was it? It's
No,
called
that's Van
Starry
Gogh.
Night,
That's
huh?
Van.
That's Van Gogh. See, that's how I illiterate I am in like art. So like, why do you like Monet so much? I've heard his name before, and I'm like looking at all the pieces of art I can find on the internet from him. Like, what's so special about Monet?
Just the brush strokes, and I think every artwork of his has like a story.
Mhm.
Like you can see the work, and then like you can make a story of it. Like there's a lot of you can see a lot of emotions to it, and it's a whole background that you see, like background, not literally, but like a whole uh, the journey. You
Mhm.
get the journey, I guess. That's why.
Okay. Like one piece of that art that like really that like a painting that reminds me all the time is this. It's called the Great Wave of Kanagawa. Like it's something I remember. So there's this wave going on. There's Mount Fuji in the back. There's a certain amount of boats. If anybody doesn't know about that, I put the links down below. Um,
What?
there's
Which one?
this wave. It's called the Great Wave of Kanagawa, and I watched
Oh,
this.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I've watched this video like a long time before, and for some reason, even for an illiterate guy like me, that inspires like a little bit of faith in me. I see Mount Fuji in the back, I see all these boats, there's like waves going on. For some reason, I get really calm when I'm looking at that painting. Um, is that some sort of an effect? That's the reason why people are out there trying to buy these things, or sometimes it evokes an emotion. Because they say I haven't seen the Mona Lisa up front, but then they say some people see Mona Lisa smiling and some people see Mona Lisa is like really sad. Like, like what is the initial thing that you see? Like, okay, this customer is ready to buy this art, or this customer really digs this art. Like, what are the emotions have they described to you when you talk to all these art like collectors and these art enthusiasts?
See, actually, people see what they want to see
Mhm,
with art,
mhm,
and like, of course, with some people, you can tell that just in their eyes that they love this piece. But there, of course, there are other factors. Perhaps they can't afford it. Perhaps they don't have a space in the house to put it. So they just appreciate art. But for some people, they're trying to understand it. They're trying to see what it is, and it's a learning. I think with every artwork, you learn something more.
mhm.
So yeah, I can't really say that how a customer feels or anything, but like I know that they do. Like with my work, I want them to leave with some sort of self introspection as to like some sort of knowledge with the shows I make or with the shows I create. That's what I want to do. But yeah, sometimes the art is just for the vanity. You just look at it, it looks nice, but it's completely on the perspective.
Now, like we're coming to an end of this podcast, and then I wanted to shout out to all the people that were in this journey of an entrepreneur. We did this program, and Shivangi was there. Even though she has this running business, she came in and she humbled herself, and then she got down to the nitty gritty, and then she took this experience with her. So, how did you find that event? Don't give us like this. Don't give me that. Oh, it was good and everything. What was something that you really liked from that whole event, and something that you did not really like, and you'd want that to be changed, or you want that to be
Yeah.
modified in the future?
No, I was very excited about this because, as I said, I'm very like it's only been 6 7 months that I've started this, so I'm still learning, and in fact I'm thinking of doing learn more about Nepali art history, the Buddhist Nepali art history. So
Hmm.
let's see. I have found a course. Let's see if I enroll to it. So of course it's a learning process for all of us. But I love the Socrates questioning thing. That was completely new that I learned.
Hmm.
And I think it's a great way to go about lots of things in your life.
Hmm.
And I also loved the Ikigai thing, which what's the
Docha, like what's all Rajmandari from Docha said, right?
yeah, sorry.
What's all said the Ikigai part, right?
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes, yes. And I didn't know. I mean, I do believe in Japanese philosophy and all, but I didn't know much about it, and that was something new I learned. And I think everything was, to see such events happening in Nepal and people actually coming for it, and it was very good. Like I don't have any complaints at all from it. Like, yeah, I just think, yeah, it was amazing. I just think maybe some in terms of logistics, perhaps a little bit, but otherwise it was great. Like all the speakers, it was all the insights. It was amazing. I loved it.
Thank you so much. Like I was part of that program too, and hopefully we can get other people coming in. And then I
Yes,
was so happy you approached me like right the day off or the day after the program, because usually what happens is people tend to go to these programs and they forget about all the advice or anything they've learned. I what I do is, like, if I go as a speaker or as a participant, I write down what people have told me all throughout the day, because
yeah,
every time, like, it's an iterative process. Like, you go and edit your pitch, or you go and edit all the advice. And something that I really liked was like a piece of information or perspective someone gave at the end. If you remember, somebody said they were from middle class, and then they had problems in their households. How can they go and run a business for 20 years if they have problems like getting money in every like month? And that seemed to be a perspective that none of us talked about throughout the whole day. And then that was really interesting to explore that. And I myself can uh, like, vouch for that. It's very hard when you're an entrepreneur, especially in a country
yeah,
like Nepal, where, like, if you're really into subjective things like art, or like media content, or even like innovation itself, when you go out into these cultured things, or like really something that needs a lot of money and push, that's when like the buck stops. Like, people rather invest a lot of money in restaurants and like
yeah,
chicken stations than in the art. And I can understand, people want that instant gratification, and nothing gives you instant gratification like chicken wings. I
yeah.
can vouch for that. I ate a lot of chicken wings uh,
Mhm.
in my life. So thank you so much. I
Yes,
put all the links of her social media, her website, and I like categorize down each piece of questioning that we've done into different
yes,
timestamps, so you guys can see over here. And then hope to talk to her more, and then explore how her event goes in November, and then how the event goes in London next year. Hopefully that will work itself out. And if you're an artist, do contact her, and then she can put up your piece of art in her touring gallery. Or if you're like a prospective buyer, that's even better. And
yeah,
hopefully people will get to learn a lot more about you through your website now that it's launched. Thank you so
yes.
much.
Thank you. And whoever is interested to just be a part as well and have some ideas, I'm more than happy to collaborate too.
Yeah, exactly. Even musicians,
Yes,
musicians
yes,
can come in and do join the touring art gallery, and they can add value in some sort of way. Well, thank you so much.
yes. Thank you.
Hope to see you
Thanks
next
a lot.
time.